And so I was like, I'm going to do my Orion and Lauren weekly recap because this is becoming the Orion and Lauren show for Married at First Sight. I hope you guys watched the episode last night. It was quite telling and revealing. That man does not like that woman, and I don't know when she's going to realize it. The sooner she realizes it, shoot in my teeth, the better. The sooner she realizes it, the better. Yeah, he doesn't like her, and there's a lot of things going on. So if you did not watch it, I'm going to spoil it for you, so don't be mad. Okay, so first things first, they wake up and there's still tension about that one conversation in the hot tub after Orion had said that he was done and it was okay. Like he was like, I'm over it, like, I'm healing from it, etc. They had so many conversations about it, and Lauren was like, I'm reading books, I'm educating myself, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I'm just going to go on a little tangent here. I think we've bought the myth that if you like do research, then all of a sudden you're not, like, now you've rectified your sins. And I don't know. Number one, I don't think that what Lauren did was as bad as Orion's reaction. So I think that's why I'm having a hard time with all of this, because I'm like, wait a minute, she wasn't that disrespectful. It wasn't like she literally did not know what that word means. Was she stupid for laughing in his face? 100%, without a doubt. But I don't know, she was doing all the typical like woke things, which is, I'm going to go read a book, I'm going to go demonstrate how learned I am on this topic. And I don't think that she realized until the very end that it didn't matter what she did. It didn't matter how she decided to rectify and make amends for her behavior. He just doesn't like her. So the big tipping point in this episode was that she went to dinner with him, and they were like, all of the couples were asking like serious questions. So they were talking about religion, they were talking about sex, they were talking about children, because they're about to go back home and now deal with the real world. And since Lauren and Orion have already kind of had like deeper conversations, they were looking for something else to talk about, I think. And so she asked him when was the last time he had sex, because they were getting to the point where, like, I don't think they've had sex yet on their honeymoon. I think other couples have, and in the past, most of the couples on Married at First Sight end up having sex on their honeymoon. So it's interesting that these couples are not. Whether that's good or bad, I have no judgment on that. But anyway, so Lauren asks him, when was the last time you had sex? And I can't remember what his answer was, but when he asked her, she said it was 2 months ago. And he threw a hissy fit because I think by then, or shortly thereafter, they found out that they were going to be matched with someone. Now, the timeline's a little iffy. I don't think that I need to get a true sense of when they find out they're going to get married and when they actually get married. Because on the show, it makes it seem like a week, but I have a feeling that it's like a month. And maybe I'll do a little bit of research this afternoon and come back and go over and make that change. But the point is that he was upset because she had sex while so close to their engagement, right? And again, Lauren is put on the defensive. She's put on the defensive. And right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't think that Orion's response was appropriate to the crime. So to me, I'm always looking at, does the punishment fit the crime? And what it seemed like in that moment is that he already didn't like her. He didn't like her before the comment in the hot tub. He really didn't like her after the comment. And now anything and everything she does, and any chance he gets to knock her down a peg, as a lot of people do with Black women, any chance he gets to knock her down a peg, he will do it. Any chance he gets to knock her down a peg, he will do it. And so that was my initial reaction to the Lauren and Orion situation, is that, oh, he's not even really mad about this. He needs an escape. He's done with her. And I said that last week. I was like, this man does not like her. And here's what I think is going on. Orion is self-righteous. He's very much self-righteous. He's still got a lot of issues that he's working through, I think, as a Native American man and in his manhood. So he mentioned in previous episodes that, um, you know, he didn't like how matriarchal his family was and how his mom and sisters ran everything because his dad left him. And he was like, oh, in the Navajo tribe, there's a lot of like women, leaders or whatever. And then I thought, okay, well, the experts are wrong for putting him with a black woman because the black community, whether we want to act like it or not, is very matriarchal, meaning, or some people would say it's a failed patriarchy. Either way, a lot of women are running households, getting educated, doing a lot of this in the black community. So I thought it was a mistake on the experts' part if he revealed this to them, that he didn't want to be with a woman who was, like his mother, then they shouldn't have put him with Lauren because she is very much like a go-getter. You can tell in her spirit, she's a go-getter. She's, doesn't mince words. She's very kind and sweet, but she's also just kind of a no BS kind of woman. And he doesn't like that. He said that he wants someone who's a little bit softer than his mother. So I blame the experts for putting them together. Here's the second thing I think is going on. As I said before, when you date someone who is maybe a covert narcissist, and I'm not diagnosing anything, allegedly, a covert narcissist, which I think he is, and someone who is so arrogant and has so much pride, if they're with someone who they deem or who they think might even be a little bit better than them, like he may think Lauren's really pretty, she's got her job, she's got, she's really smart, she's got, her life together, he feels inferior. And I keep saying that because this is what's happening. This is like such a cautionary tale not to date men who are not at your same level. And it's not even just about the money. I think just in terms of his station in life, they're in two very different spaces. And I think anything and everything is going to piss him off and drive him crazy because he feels insecure. And the sooner that Lauren realizes it, the better. Everyone keeps, I think why people are so confused about the hot tub situation, because it was rather small. It was rather it was just it wasn't like she was like, you're a Redskin. Like she was like, I don't even know what that word means. And then she laughed, which I thought was really bad. But she didn't know what the word means. So to pretend like she was mad, like that she was calling you that name, it was just that reaction was so over the top to me. And that's why I said, I was like, this man is emotionally abusive. And what I don't like about him is how he comes across as so soft and sweet and feminine. And Lauren is trying her darn best to not be the angry black woman. And he's playing the same card that a lot of non-black people do. I'll just say white women do. Well, they'll be like, oh, she's just so aggressive. She's so aggressive. That's what he said. She's so aggressive. So he's playing this thing like, I was really hurt. I'm just a damsel. I'm just offended by her. And it's like, what? Like, pull up your pants and have an honest conversation. And the reason why, and the other thing that's interesting about him is he intimated that she was a man. He was like, she was talking to me and I felt like I had to protect my sisters and my mom from my dad. Oh, so you see her as a man. Surprise, surprise. That doesn't shock me because a lot of non-black people see black women as men. Lauren could have been in her sweet Pollyanna voice. She could have given Duggar style conversation and just talked about how her feelings were hurt, and he would have still called her a man and still would have intimated that she was aggressive because he already thinks that about her. Right? So, so people are walking by. So anyway, it's just, this whole scenario to me is like, it's classic. This classically what happens when you date down. It is a classic instance when you date down. And I think this would have happened with any race of men, but I think it particularly happened with this because he was Native American. He's half, by the way, half Native American, that there is a battle. Like, a lot of minorities do not like black people, and I keep saying this and people don't understand. A lot of minorities do not like black people. They feel like black people are lazy. You're already in the United States. You already have this. You already have that. And I'm like, okay, baby, but you're like, let's talk about what you do have to check this show out. It is like, it's crazy to me. And okay, so now let me get on Lauren because I actually have to go in like 10 minutes. Let me get on Lauren, okay? Lauren is giving masculine energy, and I hate this for her. But here's what I think is actually happening. I think that the producers are telling Lauren to make conversation with him because Orion is shut down. And so I think from our end, she's actually doing what men typically do in relationships, which is ask the questions and lead the relationship. And so Lauren is getting an aggressive edit. We need to be honest about that. She is getting an aggressive edit because we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but my inkling is that he is not even talking to her. And so when the cameras come up, she's trying to give them film. And they're like, Lauren, why don't you ask him some questions? Lauren, why don't you? Because you guys have to remember that the producers, each cast member has a producer. So when they're talking to the producers are, the goal of the producers is to make content and to make money. So I think they're pushing Lauren because I said two episodes ago, I said she's giving desperate. And the reason why I said she was giving desperate is because she keeps begging him for responses and asking, and like she's chasing him. But now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, I think these producers have convinced Lauren to chat more with him and to try and pull things out of him because she's asking some questions that I don't think that she would have asked normally, or that like she would never normally ask on a date. And so it's very interesting. I really wish, because it's already happened, I really hope that at some point Lauren just like stops talking to him because he's emotionally abusive. And this is a tactic okay, here we go. He's acting like a woman. And when men act like women, it's very scary. These are things that I would do. I would be like, I'm not talking to you because I'm mad at you. Feminine behavior. It's very, very feminine. It's very, very feminine to say, like, my sisters have to see this stuff and my mom has to see this, and you've what's the word? Insulted my whole tribe. I'm like, stop. Stop it. I don't think that he's ready to be a man in a relationship with a woman. I don't think he's ready, like, for a relationship with anybody. And while I understand his anger and while I understand his concern, he asked her if she'd ever used the term Redskin, like people walking around using Redskin. Like, black people we're not doing that. Like, we don't even, that's not a term in our vocabulary because I don't think enough black people live around reservations to where that's the case. Like, that's not a word in typical black people's vocabulary. Just like there's a term for Hispanics in California, WB. We don't, like, that's not our stuff. Like, we don't, the issues between black people and other races are very different than the issues between black and white people. So there's terms for white people, like some black people call them crackers or whatever. I've never used that term. I don't care about that. But it was so bizarre to me that he was almost fishing for her to say, I've used the term Redskin so we could be like, we're even. Like, no, baby, we don't even, like, black people don't do that. We just don't. Like, that's not the thing that we're doing around here. Like, the battle of the races in the United States is very much black and white. It's not for us. We're not fighting with Asians and Native Americans, like, at least, like, on the whole. Of course, there's, like, neighborhoods where that's the case. But it's just, like, it was bizarre to me how he tried to bring that out of her. And it was almost as if he wanted a way out. My husband and I watch this show together, and he's like, babe, that man doesn't like women. I'm like, no, that's not it. He's like, no, that man doesn't like women. And I'm like, well, why? And he's like, but I'm like, why did he go on the show then? He's like, I don't know, but that man does not like women. Like, he does not like lady parts. and he certainly doesn't like black lady parts. And I'm just like, so why does he go on this show then? Because I think he also wants Lauren to cut this off. He's pushing her emotional boundaries. When you constantly criticize someone and you take every word that they say and you twist it around and make yourself a victim, that's emotional abuse. That is classic signs of narcissism. You didn't take this experiment as seriously as I did because you had sex with that man 2 months before we got married, before we even knew that we were actually going to be matched. That's emotional manipulation. We live in a world that is sex crazy. Honey, you dibbled and dabbled with men. So why then is it not okay for her to do that, but you can? And why is it okay that you have different standards? And that's why, like, when things don't make sense, you guys, when people's arguments stop making sense, that means they don't like you. There's a life tip for you. I've been in relationships like this where I was dating a toxic, narcissistic man, and anything and everything I did would make him upset, and he would give me the silent treatment. That is a sign of narcissistic abuse. That is a sign of abuse. He would be upset about the most ridiculous things, and I'd be like, wait, what did I say that made you upset? He couldn't articulate it in the same way that Orion could not articulate why he was mad at Lauren. And then the next day she's over there begging. And I think where I really see that this is becoming a problem is that she's still begging him for a relationship. Like the way that she's like cuddling him and let me make you feel better. Like she's desperate in a little bit, in a low key. And so that's where I think he's got her on the hook. He wants to get her to a place where she's like, feels bad for anything and everything she does. So that's how he manipulates her. And he's almost there with her. I mean, all he has to do is bring up the Redskin comment and boom, it's game over. Game over. Cause she's like, oop, I'm out of this fight because I've lost. And I think that's the danger / like that whole, like this whole like woke culture where it's like anything and everything to me can be offensive and you owe me penance for that. I think that's where it's damaging. And so, yeah, this relationship is doomed, and I think Lauren should leave. I think she should really consider leaving because nobody's going to see the reality. Like, people are not going to be that wise to reality of what's happening. They're not going to be able to see that she's being emotionally abused. Now, us internet people will see that, but the people in his life and her life will not be able to see that. And he's very good at making it seem like she is just this aggressor and he's just sitting back and being the victim. And that's never a good place to be. And I never wish that for a black woman, especially. I just don't think that it's good for her. So anyway, we'll see what's going to happen on next episode. It would be a disaster because that would leave 2 couples left on this show. And so you know what I think? I do think they get a divorce because they did tease Matthew getting a new wife because they need a 3rd couple on this show. So I do think that Lauren and Orion end up getting a divorce and then they move on with Matthew. But good girl, you dodged a bullet. Like sometimes I think in these relationships you think that you think that you're missing out on something. And then like 5 years later, you realize you dodged a bullet. And like, that's what it was for me. I was like, when it ended, I felt so bad because this person had made me feel like I was a horrible person. Like I was a horrible, I just couldn't do anything right. And I had no value. And I was, and for Lauren, it's like, she must feel like this racist, insensitive woman who's aggressive. And they make you feel like this so that you don't leave them. Because he has abandonment issues too, y'all. Now it's getting too late. We got to talk about the therapy that he needs because he has abandonment issues. And so what he's doing is the same thing his dad did him, but he's doing it to Lauren. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so deep. Like, it's the abandonment issues for me. And so what happens is you feel guilty. You feel like, oh my gosh, I should have been nicer to this person. And maybe because you want to prove your worth too. But 5-10 years from now, she'll be like, whoa, I dodged a bullet. Because he'll be the same person, unless he gets some good help. He'll be the same person, and she'll be moved on. So she can come back from this, but she's going to have to get some therapy, and she's going to have to start to understand what narcissistic and toxic abuse looks like. All right, you guys, that is my 2 cents for 20 minutes. I gotta go. But it was great chatting with you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Leave a comment. Make sure you like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.